Hello everyone, my name is Rajiib Hossain and I'm here today in front of this qualified gathering with identity as a writer. I have written a trilogy for the young people who have interest in Bangladesh Army and Army Special Forces. I am a bank executive by profession, a counter wildlife trafficking specialist in wildlife conservation. I'm a son. I am a marathon enthusiast, a husband, a human being beyond everything. I'm more of a storyteller, less of a writer. So in all my books, I have the emotion, the anxiety, the suspense, whatever I have mentioned, these all are extracted from my own personal life. Back in 2010, a severe setback happened in my life and I was socially alienated for years, lived my life in darkness. So after years of isolation, when I came back to the mainstream, this was a huge struggle for me, primarily, because it was very tough for me to cope up with the change environment. And as you know, when you go through a harsh time, you will rarely find people around you who will support you, who will shoulder your pain. So I was initially rejected by my friends, my relatives, my ex-colleagues, and everybody. So I started walking alone. Primarily, I realized that I have two severe issues. One was that I had a lot of problem with my sleeping habit, and the other was I had a lot of anxiety and depression. One day I arrived in an interview board and I received a job offer to work in Sundarbans as a counter wildlife trafficking specialist. So my life inside Sundarbans started. This was a life-changing experience for me. I used to work almost 43 kilometers inside Sundarbans from the shore, and my primary role was to train the forest department frontline staff on counter wildlife trafficking, jungle warfare, counter poaching, and few other stuffs. Sundarbans started creating a huge impact in my life, mainly for two reasons. Firstly, the nature started healing me, and the other reason was I came across an American boss. Her name is Kathy, and she was like an angel. I had lack of confidence, and honestly, I was suffering from identity crisis all through, because when you come back to the normal world and nobody owns you, you'll always feel that problem. But Kathy understood my position and she started praising me for every simple thing that I used to do. Very ordinary things, but she always used to praise me. So I was getting back to my confidence. One day, I was stationed in Khulna and I received a phone call from my mother, and she asked me that she wanted to set up a school for underprivileged girls in my area. So what was my opinion? So I thought on it, and in my area, people are not very insolvent, and the underprivileged girls means they don't have the access to proper education, though they're financially quite solvent. So I agreed with my mom, and primarily I gave one piece of land to start the project, but we didn't have the funding to start the infrastructure. So I took a bank loan, gave it to my mom, and I told her that I received a donation from one of my friends in Saudi Arabia. So mom was okay. And we started preparing the primary infrastructure. The only question she asked was, since when you have a friend in Saudi Arabia who speaks Arabic? So our school initially faced a lot of challenges, and we started the school only with 36 students. My life in Sundarbans continued, and there I came across a lot of challenges and enjoyed a lot, because I had the experience to, lie on the boat deck and stare at the stars all through the night. I came across a tiger once. I saw the Irrawaddy dolphins many times and had the chance to confront the pirates of Sundarbans multiple times with my team. So Sundarbans made me more confident. And my sleeping habit improved a little. Anxiety was reduced a little. Then in 2016, I came back to the urban town. I was back to Dhaka. I got a job in one famous financial institution. I started working there, but urban life actually started creating a lot of problems because I was just back from Sundarbans and I was in a healing process. So uh, I was not very comfortable and all the problems aggravated. I was not physically doing good and my mental health condition was not good because I had constant depression and anxiety, a lot other issues. So that time with the recommendation of one of my friend, I met one of the mental health counselor. Her name is Miss Munjia Mustaq. And this lady took care of me and she's the first person who made me understand that mental health is something to address. And she taught me that how to take care of myself and things were improving. And eventually I went to psychologist, I traveled abroad, came to another psychologist, and finally I was diagnosed with PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder. And the doctor said it was in acute level. And the doctor said that I need to do a lot of exercises, and along with that, for improving my sleep order and my mental health, I need to be on constant medication. So I came back home and I asked myself that I am a trained paracommando and I have seen the worst of life. So now do I have to take medicine for maintaining my mental sanity and my sleep? So I refused to take medicine. And then that is the time I met my mentor, Mr. Imtaz Elahi, and with his inspiration, I joined one of the biggest community running platform in Bangladesh. Its name is BD Runners. And I started running. I was running. I started with very short distance. Gradually, it increased. Half marathon, marathon, ultra trail marathon, 10 kilometer, 21 kilometer, 42 kilometer, 60 kilometer, 65 kilometer, and beyond. So I was running and I was running. So there is a very strong resemblance between life and marathon. If you want to run a marathon, at first you need to take preparation and you need to listen to your body that you are prepared or not. Then you decide to run a marathon. So the event is closing in. You will start taking preparation. You are prepared enough. The day comes. So you'll check the weather. You'll wear the proper attire and you will set a plan that I'll run in this pace. Once you start the running, maybe after a while, suddenly you come across a little hilly terrain. So you alter your pace. You alter your course. Then you come down. Already you have lost some time. So you have changed the plan. Then you have crossed maybe more 10 kilometer and suddenly you have a muscle cramp. So now you have to take little care from the physiotherapist present, little hydration from the hydration point, change the plan. So till the time you reach the finish line, you keep altering your plan, exactly like life. In marathon, you run with 1,000 souls all around you, but you run it alone. No matter how many people are around you, the trouble and the pain has to be taken by you only. Touch the finish line. You are the finisher. When you run, there will be people around you who inspires you, and you will be the person who's inspiring so many. Maybe you have not noticed it. So this race of marathon continued. I kept on running and I realized that things are changing in my life. My sleeping order improved, my mental health condition improved, and I felt that I am becoming a changed person. Then suddenly the COVID took place. COVID happened and there was shutdown and lockdown, super lockdown, everything. And this is the time I didn't have the chance to access to the social facility or physical activity and all. And I was stuck in my home. And then I realized my health condition was not doing good and I was getting back to depression. And we'll have speakers today to talk about the mental health. So these are very vulnerable issues. You have to take constant care. Otherwise, you'll be subjected to aggravation. So that is the time I wanted to do something constructive, something impactful so that I can get distracted and I can invest and utilize the time. And I thought that I should start writing now. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books, but there is a problem. When I read books, I cannot write. When I write, I cannot read books. So I stopped reading all the books, and I decided that I should start writing. Over the last few years, I used to write about the military special forces, the paracommando training life related stories in social media in installment. So this is the time I compiled it. I revisited whatever I have written. 60% of the manuscript was already published in the Facebook. So I compiled it and I rewritten the few of the chapters. I added few, I altered few, and finally a manuscript was prepared. Then I reached out to one of the publishers, and he just asked me that, is it my first or second or third book? Then, he wanted to interview me. He was a very interesting character. So he interviewed me for 30 minutes in person. Didn't ask a single word about the book or the manuscript. And after 30 minutes, he said, okay, I like you. I think I will publish your books. That is how the book Commando was born. And then subsequently, a trilogy will be written, The Imbalanced Buffalo and Love It or Leave It. And these books comes from a very difficult time. Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever die. This is a famous quote from the famous movie, Shawshank's Redemption. Hope will always keep you alive. No matter whatever you are going through in life, if you keep the hope alive, you'll be floating, you'll be moving, you'll be in the motion. You should never give up on hope for a single minute. During the years of extreme darkness, every night I used to go to the bed on the floor, wondering just to wake up in the next morning. I simply wanted to remain alive, nothing more. I focused on tomorrow, never on the day after tomorrow. All I wanted is to live one day at a time, survive one day at a time. And finally, I could survive. When I started my girls' school, I had a hope that I will create a significant change in my girls' life. There are so many underprivileged girls in my area, and we have still very poor infrastructure. We need a lot of funding. We are yet to receive good amount of government funding. We don't have very good teachers. But I'm very hopeful that someday down the line, I'm going to convert it to a vocational institute and create a deep impact on this girl's life. So I'll keep moving on that. When I started this Commando project, I was not very sure that one day I will subsequently write the other sequels, but then I wrote it. And when 10 years ago, when the second phase of my life started, when I was rejected by the society, friends, families, and everyone, I was all alone in this world. Then the life goes on. I kept on working on it, step by step. And I feel that I have come a long way. And in the process, I had to discard the high ambition. I don't have a lot of expectation from life. So things have improved a lot. In the last chapter of my book, Commando, I mentioned that I am very tired and I'm taking a break from life. But it's been a long time. And I have found a beautiful connection between the physical and mental health. So I work as an activist for improvement of physical and mental health as well. Over the last 3 years, the book Commando itself has been sold out for little more than 5,000 copies. And the Imbalanced Buffalo and Love It or Leave It, in total, I think we have reached 8,000 readers. And if you count the number of readers, I think it will be more than 30,000. There are a number of kids who reach out to me through the social media. In the Amar Ekushe Boi Mela, when I came across my readers, and I found an interesting analogy that most of my readers are very young in age, starting from class 8 to enter second year. So many of my readers, they were brainwashed by my books, and eventually they developed an interest to joining the military. So I have received a number of messages from them that, sir, I joined Army, Navy, Air Force, and I was inspired by your books. So that gives me a sense of accomplishment. My school has graduated at least 550 underprivileged girls in last 9 years. And we have stopped at around 70 child marriages by direct intervention of our school authority. So these all happen because I always thought that I need to be hopeful. And when I realized that I have such a difficult problem with my mental health, I was never in a hurry. I always wanted to fix it one step at a time, brick by brick. So there are two very constant truths in life for all of you. One is eventually you are going to die. You leave this world at one point. And the other is you will suffer. No matter how much protection you take, no matter how cautious you are going to suffer. No matter how strong wall you build around you for your own protection, suffering is inevitable. So what is important is we need to remain prepared to accept that suffering gracefully. And once we go through that suffering, we need to remain hopeful because someday we'll connect to life. And once the suffering is over, you will have experience that will give you wisdom and you will have empathy. And trust me, this wisdom and empathy is few of the best virtues of life. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.